This video looks at the bulk importing of students. You go to the Students tab. You don't need to tick anyone's name. You just go straight to Actions and down the bottom Add Students. Now you can add an individual here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to import students. The MIS import button doesn't work in Australia. It's not functionality we're supporting. So what we've done is we've added a bit of functionality to the import function, and I think that will give almost everybody the functionality they need. So first thing you have to do is decide which code you want to assign. I'm going to use Moresby Careers for this import. And there are instructions here. I'll draw your attention to the format of the date of birth, which causes more problems than anything. What I'm going to do is download a template. That template will need to be completed. And here it is. I'll just make everything a bit bigger so it's clear. Now typically you'd import data from this. If you're not comfortable with how to do that, ask someone in IT or someone with a technical orientation. So we'll just put in a bit of information here. Column 555. Date of birth, put in a correct one. Email address. Now username, you can leave this blank or you can add it if you wanted. Typically you'd leave it blank. Password you can leave blank. If you do, they're given a system generated password. But then you've got to get it to them. So the typical approach of an import is to give everybody the same password. If you do that, the first time they log in with that password, the system will recognize that it's being system allocated and require them to change their password to a personal one before they can progress. So I'm just going to call this sample, but call it whatever you want. You might call it school name, whatever. The student ID field. This allows you to add a identifier to a student. This is visible in the student record, and if you print a PDF report, the student ID or whatever it is you choose to put in will be added to the student's PDF. Now, the reason that might be useful is if you're a larger school and you're wanting to upload PDFs of student results to their student record. Some schools might have a number of students with the same name, or someone might spell their name wrong, etc., etc. So if you have a student ID, it allows that import to be far more accurate. So I'm just going to put in 890BD, or BB. So that's correct. I'm going to put in a bad one as well. So I'll put in a 1 for 6, and here I'm going to put the date of birth wrong. I'm just going to put 0606. Still called password sample, and a different ID number. So that's created. I'm going to save that, close it, and down the bottom I'm going to choose a file and import it. Now that will be in my downloads file. Use this one. Continue with that, and it's identified the date of birth is not valid. You've got two choices. You can back out and fix the date of birth, or you can import with errors. I'm going to import. So this tells you that one student has been successfully imported, and this is the student. Now what it doesn't tell you clearly here is who's failed. So you're importing 162 and you get 161 imported and didn't make a note of who's got an error. You've got a bit of a problem. So make sure you fix all the errors before you do the import. The other thing you can do is this student will have been imported against a group, or your 160 whatever would be. So if you go to select group, you can find their group, and this is my third attempt at running this video. If I choose that, you can see who's in there, and that would allow you to quite hopefully quickly identify whose import failed, and you can fix that up. It also means that if you have 200 in a year group, 8 classes, and you want each tutor to manage the Moresby Careers feedback of just their class group, rather than import all 200 in one go, you might split them into classes and do 8 imports. That's a little bit of upfront loading in terms of work, but it would mean that you'd have them in their own group so you don't have to split them up later. And that could be useful if you're using the security component of Moresby that allows you to restrict access to particular students. If we click on the student, we can see the student ID is listed here. And as I say, that will be available in the printed PDF report. Now, this might look a bit complex. It's actually not. You just need to be kind of half comfortable with spreadsheets. If in any doubt, ask someone in your IT department. They'll do it really easily. Or of course, there's support for Moresby.